Good morning, Rainmakers. It's Priyan here from Rainway Realty. Hope you're all doing well. Today's podcast is about compounding. Compounding is a secret ingredient behind every great successful story, whether it be creating wealth, mastering a skill, or building expertise. In anything that you do. We'll explore how small, consistent efforts add up to massive results, and not just in money, but also in knowledge and skills as well, and personal growth. So, what is compounding? Now, it's a sort of a secret ingredient. The reason I say it's secret is because it's not really taught initially at university or schools. And your mom doesn't or dad doesn't sort of sit down and tell you about compounding, really. And the reason for it is because of the fact that, in a roundabout way, people carry out compounding in their everyday activities, but they don't realize the sort of the thesis behind it or understand it in order to explain it from a knowledgeable point of view, where in theory it can be used for many things, i.e., one of the wealthiest men in the world at the moment, Warren Buffett, is a compounding king. If he had bought any shares at those times when he had bought it, he's I think nearly 90 or 100 years old, coming up to 100, they would have grown exponentially. And regardless of whether he had chosen the right stocks or not, ultimately he would have made a hell of a lot of money. Of course, he's very good at his job, so hence why, with the skill and knowledge of his expertise and the compounding effect, he became the richest man in the world. Now, you say, what is compounding? And compounding really is, to give you an example, if I offered you £1 million today to take, or I said to you, you can have 1p doubled for a month, what would you choose? You'd most probably choose the $1 million or pounds. Now, to give you an example, 1p doubled every day would actually give you $21 million or pounds. Now, my calculations may be a tiny bit off here and there, because I sort of went on the calculator and did 1 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And ultimately, it's either going to be 21 million or it's going to be 11 million. But the moral of the story, it's far more than $1 million that you initially got in your hand. Now, of course, you clever guys out there will be saying, well, Priyan, I understand that, but I'm going to take the $1 million and then invest that. But you're still not going to make a 20% return on your money guaranteed with the 1p investment. So any of you trying to be clever, good luck to you. This is a risk-free method with the 1p double up. Now, you may find that surprising, and I did as well when I first heard about it. And, that sets up the basis of why buying property is ultimately an amazing investment. Number one, you're leveraged. So, for example, you bought a house for 500,000, you put 250,000, and then each year it's going up 10%, 10%, or 5%, or 3%. So just like the penny doubling, of course, it's not a double, it's a 5%. If you, I believe, only earned 7% in a year, you'll literally double your money in 8 years or something. I mean, I don't know the exact figures, but you're getting what I mean. So because of the fact that you have property in your normal home, what happens is that you don't really create wealth, because you buy your £500,000 property and then you basically upgrade to £1 million property. So you actually get a bigger mortgage, and all that wealth that you created goes on to the next one and the next one, and you basically become in debt. Then you have a bigger debt and a bigger mortgage to facilitate. So ultimately, you're working harder in order to pay that bill off. But predominantly, what you want to do is, of course, have your home assets in property, because it's tax-free money as well. But if you want to become wealthy from property, what you need to do is buy other assets in property, like a buy-to-let or a holiday let or something, student lettings, where you can actually then benefit from the gain for your wealth without having to then sort of jump on the gravy train in terms of going up higher. For example, you buy a house for 100,000, you rent it out, you got 50,000 in 4 or 5 years' time. Normally, they say 7 years' time in the UK, it doubles. So now it's worth 200,000. You put 50,000 on, you made 100,000 profit from the 100 to 200. So you've actually made 200% on your money. Now you could remortgage that and then maybe get 50 or 70,000 pounds out and buy another home. And you can keep going like that until you basically have a portfolio of 2-3 million pounds. You're receiving income from it and capital growth. And ultimately, you are now becoming wealthy. So if you had that same pot of money in your home, unfortunately, you don't really get wealthy because all you're doing is staggering up the ladder. You feel that you're wealthy because you've got a bigger house, but ultimately you're in the rat race because of the fact that you are having to facilitate and pay that money. And therefore, the compounding effect that you're having on your house doesn't really create huge amounts of wealth. And then when you get older, you basically have to sell that house in order to downgrade, in order to release the money. So, moral of the story from that point of view, in terms of wealth creation and real estate, is that if you're dealing with potential buyers for their home, and also you're dealing with potential investors, you can explain the story in terms of the compounding effect, the growth, and also when you're looking at a prospective buyer for their home, you can ask them, are you looking to live there for 5 or 10 years? Ultimately, you may be buying a property which is a tiny bit more expensive than you wanted to. However, in the long run, you're going to make money, and also you're going to be happy and have a home that you enjoy, which is also important in life. So going back to compounding, even in your skills that you're learning, in terms of tennis, in terms of cooking, in terms of driving a car, for example, every time you do that, a layer and a layer and a layer and a layer and a layer gets filled. So what you can see is that consistency and working hard, even in your day jobs, all the time, and understanding that you're building knowledge, but also understanding that you really need to grow. You need to really sort of not just do the same things all the time. Understand what you're doing and grow. Try and become better. If you're cooking, for example, try a new recipe. Try to do baking. Try Chinese food. Check out the techniques. So therefore, then again, you're building your repertoire, and your compounding effect will become that you could be an amazing chef one day. Likewise with your golf. Don't just go to the range and hit balls all the time. Practice your short game. Practice your putting. Read books on course management. Understand your scoring system. And all those layers of things that you're doing always compound up to the knowledge that you have, which make you a better person, make you more consistent in getting the rewards on how to have those small habits help you off. Now, don't get me wrong, compounding is the key. However, there's not an instant payoff. And it's really important to understand that, because you have to be patient and consistent, because that is the number one key ingredient. The results aren't sort of immediately visible. So, they come in waves. So like discussing yesterday's point about sort of resistance, again, that is part of the waves coming through. So therefore, on that final hurdle that you're looking to sort of go through, that is the last phase of where the compounding effect sort of ripples through and you get that maximum benefit. So it's really important that you sort of believe in, again, your goals, your ambitions, what you're looking to achieve in everything that you do. Practice it. Don't just think about it. Practice it on everything. So, for example, this podcast that I'm doing, I'm no amazing podcast person, but I believe I've got some knowledge to pass on to people, whether it be old, young, yellow, green, brown, blue, Chinese, ladies, gentlemen, kids. I don't know. However, I enjoy giving advice out from things that I learned, because when I was your age, or even at my age now, I'm still looking to learn, and there's nobody really to help me. I could get a mentor and find a mentor, but I've got to not kiss his ass, sorry to use the words, but I have to sort of get along with him and, understand that he's doing it from the kindness of his heart, or I've got to pay him. And so then as a result of that, I'm not really looking to get that mentorship and stuff. But what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to help people and see if I can pass on some words of wisdom. And for example, my good friend Jamark, who's known me now for well over 30 or 40 years, has sort of said to me, look, I've got to know you over this podcast more than I thought I knew you. Now, we don't live in the same country anymore. We grew up as kids, I believe, from around 12 to 16. We were best buddies, thick as thieves, did everything together. Then I went our separate ways. And when we met, we talked and chatted, but he didn't really understand me in terms of he's saying he didn't know I had all this stuff in me. And he thanked me yesterday for the podcast we did about routines on Monday and Sunday. And that touched my heart because, number one, he got to know who I really was. And number two, he's taken in the life lessons and learning from it. Now, if I could have had life lessons that I've learned from somebody else helping me, I would have been so grateful. But, it wasn't around. I read books. I made mistakes. I lost money. I made money. I had good times. I had bad times. But ultimately, the reason I'm doing this is because I want people to be knowledgeable and to get some help. And so therefore, even though I don't have any results, even though I get one piece of feedback from a good friend of mine who hopefully is saying it truthfully as opposed to, blowing my trumpet, as they say, and my wife. So I'm not getting any results. However, I believe in the process. I believe that I can inspire people. I believe I really do have the knowledge. And I believe you, the listener, can gain something. So I am going to persevere. I've been doing these podcasts now, I believe, for 1.5 weeks or 2 weeks. I'm building up my library. I'm going to then start hopefully linking it to X or X, for example, and Instagram. Then I'm going to look at having a better mic, having a better background, and ultimately I'm going to build on it and build on it. But the foundations that I'm doing now in terms of the consistency and the small steps, even though I don't get any reward back initially, I'm not looking to do it for money, but I am looking to help people and get feedback. And if that happens, that's great. If it doesn't, I'm still going to believe in the process and keep doing it 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 and change it and keep doing it. And I promise you that at least my target is 1,000 followers, 1,000 views. And then once we get to that step, then we'll think about other stuff. But small baby steps. I think I got 70 views on one video. So we're nearly a 10th of the way there. But ultimately, it boils down to the fact that, I am going to keep going and I'm going to keep trying. And that's the compounding effect that will happen. So, number one, the magic of compounding in wealth, knowledge, and life is having small habits and just keeping invested. With regards to monetary, the key to it is don't take your profits out, keep your profits in and let it build. Because every time you're building on top of each other, it says for knowledge and habits, create a habit that you're following and then create another habit, follow that for the week, create another habit, and then suddenly you're doing 10 or 20 habits that you thought you'd never do. And when you thought it was going to really hurt your brain doing it all, you started off small. Likewise, as estate agents, keep good habits. 2 viewings a week, 5 call outs a week, going onto the estate in order to do cold knocks and calling. Keep it up, create the numbers, add the numbers up. And slowly, as time goes by, you'll get the rewards of it, but you'll create consistency and you'll create market knowledge and you'll create awareness. So thank you very much for listening. Please, if you like the video, guys, give a thumbs up. Rainmakers, fantastic seeing you, and we'll speak again soon.